Alright, so this is going to be a very quick video. It's going to be very off the cuff, obviously. Didn't even turn on any of my lights. And, I decided to make this so on a whim. I had time to run a brush through my hair poorly, throw this shirt on over my torn up sleep shirt that I wear when I'm not going to be on camera, and there is water heating for my ramen right now because I finally got a hot plate for my office area, so I don't have to microwave my ramen like a plebe. But I need to talk about this. I need to just rant about it for a minute. I feel the least productive I've ever felt in my entire life, with one exception that I'll talk about in a minute. And this isn't me making excuses for why I haven't been uploading content. It kind of is. I guess it kind of is. That is part of it. I want you guys to know. But more than anything else, I feel like I need to talk about this stuff because I have noticed in the past that when something is really, really, what's the term people use? Living in my mind rent-free. When something is living in my mind rent-free, and I don't want it to be, I want to kick it out. I want to play the evil landlord and kick it out onto the street. Talking about it, ranting about it in a video, even just in a brief aside during another video, tends to help. And right now, the thing I cannot stop thinking about is the state of our country. That being the United States. I imagine most of you guys are from the U.S. who watch me, right? I know some of you aren't, but I would imagine most of you are. That tends to be how YouTube works. You tend to attract a demographic from your own relative geographic coordinates. Be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Let this steep for a minute. I don't even know what to say. I've lived through some harrowing stuff. I lived through 9/11, which really sucked. And I lived through all of the patriotic, more like jingoistic fervor that followed that. It's all bullshit. Every bit of it. Even then, and you're seeing this now with the coronavirus pandemic as well, at least here in the U.S. I don't know if people are doing this elsewhere, but people in the U.S. are profiting from it, and they profited from that too. There was a craze of, like patriotic music, for example. I think, didn't South Park do an episode about it? I don't know. When was the last time South Park was relevant? I don't even remember. There was like a patriotic music craze that struck after 9/11. People using the memory of the tragedy and the memory of the lives lost to sell fucking music. And like, it's not garbage or anything. The music tends to be like milquetoast and boring, but still okay, right? Like most pop music. But it's still so cynical and gross. And like, I'm sure there were some artists out there who were trying to use their thing, their talent, to bring some solace to some people, that they really did do it for good reasons, for noble reasons first, and the fact that they made money off of it was just kind of a bonus, like the side dish of the meal of profiting from a tragedy. I don't know what analogy I was going for there. I apologize. But the vast majority was people taking advantage, like all these senators and Congress people in general that you keep hearing about, who, because they're high in government, not just Congress people, like people in the government in general, because they're high up in the government, they knew that the pandemic was coming, and they stalled action so that they would have time to organize their financials, to sell the appropriate stock, to buy the appropriate stock, to position themselves properly, so that when everything went down, they would make money off of it. And it's disgusting. This is why, no matter how many times I hear a dissenting opinion on the matter, I will never agree with anyone ever, anywhere, who asserts the claim that capitalism is not the root of all evil. Like, people used to say money is the root of all evil. Money in and of itself isn't the problem. It's a system that makes money the most important thing. Because even right now, with Trump getting banned from Twitter and practically everything else afterwards, the concern wasn't that he was inciting violence or even just potentially inciting violence, depending on how you look at that. He was definitely doing it. But I can see some of the arguments that people are making that, well, you could interpret it that he wasn't really trying to incite violence. He was just saying this or that. I can see the arguments. You're wrong, but I can see them. But regardless of where you land on that, he was potentially inciting violence using a private platform, and that private platform has the right to tell him to fuck off. And they didn't until things became so bad that they couldn't deny it anymore, and they were going to start losing their ad revenue. And it's disgusting. One of the reasons why private parties are allowed that freedom, like, there's many other reasons, but part of the reason why they're allowed that freedom is because that way when someone is saying something terrible, they're allowed to just tell them to go fuck off for no other reason than they disagree with them. They disagree with the terrible thing being said, and the fact that these crackdowns are only happening now, after there's starting to be a financial repercussion, or at the very least there's the vast potential for a financial repercussion, shows that they don't care what people say. You could go on there and start planning a murder and they wouldn't care unless it became such a big deal that they started to lose money over it. And if we lived in a society where capitalism wasn't the main motivating factor, that wouldn't be the case, because you would have different people making the decisions in these matters. Or you'd have the same people, but their incentives would be different. They'd be allowed to make decisions based on ethical concerns rather than financial ones. And let's call it what it was. The thing that happened at the Capitol was a coup. It was an attempted coup. And we're getting reports from some of the Congress people and staffers that at least some of the people involved in the attack on the Capitol knew what they were doing. They had... closing a notification that came up that I definitely turned off. To check on that later. They had to have had some kind of insider information. There was one congressperson, I cannot remember who it was, but I saw their report, or I saw something that they had sent out. I can't remember the context exactly, but they were talking about how a lot of the people who work in the Capitol building have offices with their names on it, but they keep their files and their work somewhere else. And you had some of these insurrectionists skipping over the offices with people's names on them and going to these other unmarked offices looking for the information that they were trying to steal, as if they knew that ahead of time. They were talking about how Pelosi's office is hard to find. It's out of the way, and the building is kind of labyrinthian on the inside, and yet people were able to find it in the short time they were in there, when the narrative so far has been that most of these insurrectionists, these terrorists, were just milling about in the building and didn't really know where they were going. Like, who's been in the Capitol building before? Nobody, except people who work there. Nobody who just wandered into that building, even if they had some purpose behind their actions, at least in their own minds, they're not going to know where to go. And yet, we have reports coming out that they did. At least some of them did. And I'm sure you could look up maybe the internal structure of the building and make a plan that way, but then how would they know which offices specifically belong to individual specific people? It doesn't make sense, and it really does feel like there was, and this is sound like I'm perpetuating a conspiracy theory or something, and I guess I kind of am, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's incorrect. It really does feel like there was some sort of inside hand guiding them towards something. They didn't accomplish anything, though. That's the point. This coup failed. There were explosive devices involved. It seems like there were plans for them to hit other locations as well. They eventually kind of did, but not really. And the police seemed like they were culpable in this until one of their own was killed, and then they got pissed off. So, while this failed, it came so much closer to succeeding than it had any business to. And historically speaking, the road to every successful coup is paved with unsuccessful coups. Hitler launched an unsuccessful coup attempt prior to eventually seizing power in Germany. I'm so worried that this was like a shakedown cruise. That this was a group of people who do know what they're doing, using this unruly mob of idiots to work out where a genuine attempt might fail so that they can plan for the real thing. And based on some of the stuff that we've been seeing get spread around by some of these assholes online, some of the guys who planned this, some of like the actual genuine Nazis and white supremacists and horrible racist bigots who were at the top of this, I think I could be right. I'm terrified. And I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm not good at compartmentalizing in general. And like it's so weird. I guess it makes sense if you think about it this way, but like in situations where there aren't any real stakes, I'm fine. Like if I'm playing a game, for example, I tend to be pretty good at compartmentalizing. I don't always do it, because sometimes it's more fun to just be chaotic, but I'm usually pretty good at it. But then in the real world, dealing with real things, I kind of suck at it. And there's nothing I can do about this. There is absolutely nothing I can do about this, except tell you guys to pay attention, to not underplay what's going on, to try not to let it rule your life and demand your every thought, but also not to entirely overlook it, not to ignore this. But other than that, there's nothing I can do. And I still have to live my life, and I can't do it. I can't stop thinking about this. So what I kind of want to do here, and you're going to think this is ridiculous, or maybe not. Maybe this is a good idea. I don't know. I can't tell if my ideas are good until somebody tells me that they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this video a safe place to talk about what happened, discuss anything about it that you want. Unless you say something really, really shitty, I will allow anything. I don't care. Use the comment section of this video to talk through anything that is dominating your thoughts, that is distracting you from living your own life, in the hopes that maybe, like me, getting this stuff out there and discussing it, just saying the words, just typing the words even, might help. If you do say something and you don't see if you do leave a comment and you don't see the comment show up on the video, if you think it got caught by something, just leave another comment. Hey, I think YouTube ate one of my comments. I'll check on it for you. Just have a conversation. It's not going to be necessarily productive, but I don't know, if it helps even one person, then it's worth it, I guess. I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna sit down now. I don't have a lot of time before I have another thing I've got to do. I've got to watch my nephews for a little while, for my sister. But I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna map out some content I want to work on. I've got a whole list of stuff here. I'm still trying to decide if I'm ever going to review RWBY again, because I'm not really sure that it needs to be reviewed. It's fine. It's become a pretty meh show, but I still enjoy it. There you go. There's your review. But I'm trying to decide that. I've got Titans that I want to review. I'm trying to decide if it's worth reviewing the second season of Netflix's Transformers War for Cybertron series, because The first half was really slow and bad, but the second half was actually kind of interesting. I'm still working on watching the rest of what I need to watch to talk about the Tangled cartoon series. I had a couple more movies I wanted to talk about, like a couple of good bad movies that I wanted to talk about. And I just can't focus on any of them. So I'm gonna work out a schedule, decide how I want to tackle this, if I even can tackle this yet. Try real hard not to record any more gaming stuff, because immersing myself in a fictional world always helps distract from my problems, and gaming is one of the easiest ways to do that. So I've gotten a lot of pre-recording for my gaming stuff done. That's something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And if you guys have any tips on how to work through all the anxiety that's coming about because of this, and how to better compartmentalize this so I can live my freaking life, I guess let me know that too. I wish I had some advice to give back in exchange, but I really don't. I'm floundering right now, and I'd really like not to be. That's it. That's all I really have to say. I actually even said anything to begin with. Like, this video wasn't just me rambling. Yeah.